What is up? Unrested here. I have a little bit time this morning to make a video. I've got about 20 minutes till I have to do a private lesson, and I'm just going to try and pump this out as quick as I can because during my downtime people send me some great stuff on my Facebook page, on my main wall. Something just fell down behind me there. I don't know what it was. Oh, it was a controller. And these articles are great, and I love when people do this because I think the best part about posting questions on my wall is that other people can kind of get an idea of the questions that people are sending me that I'm answering, things I've never done before, rather than send me, how do I get to Japan question again, can I be a doctor in Japan question again. So let me just go through a bunch as I'm reading them. Okay. Japan recognizes Cyberdyne's robotic suit as a medical device. Some people are really worried about this due to the name of the company called Cyberdyne. They actually did admit that they were actually influenced by Skynet and Terminator, and they really like those movies. Those movies are actually, the Terminator movies are super popular in Japan. Let me just tell you, they're huge fans of Arnold Schwarzenegger. They even have a nickname for Arnold Schwarzenegger. They call him Swarchan. And this suit, though, has no negative implications. It doesn't have an AI, it can't operate on its own. This robotic suit has only been made to medically assist people who have lost either use of their legs and or arms. As of right now, they only have a leg suit, and it will literally let them stand up, move around, walk around. It's a very humane, it's a very technologically advanced device. I'm totally for stuff like this being implemented into the future of our medical technology. But I can see how some people would be a little bit wigged out with using the name Cyberdyne. I don't know. I don't know if I would choose such a name when it has such a negative connotation coming from a movie when I'm trying to be nothing more than a humane medical company. I guess they just feel like, come on, don't look into it that much. We just like the name. Pachinko is recreation for retards, magazine claims. Now, I don't really like to throw around the word retards. This is actually the title. Maybe I can actually, can I show you there so that you can believe me? Oh, let's see, I gotta wait for the light to, it's not gonna focus in. But this is from Japan Today. John sent me this. John, hey, I hope I can say your whole name. There's pretty common names, so I don't think anybody will go searching for you. He sent me this one. It was a really interesting article because I always wondered about this. So there is entire magazines and entire shows and entire videos and entire like hobby videos that you can buy on pachinko, on playing pachinko all around Japan, different machines, different areas. Pachinko machines are switched out and changed yearly. They have many different type of themes. One of the most kind of quote-unquote controversial ones recently is the fact that Konami will not let go of the Silent Hill and Metal Gear IP, even though they fired Kojima and are now wasting them away on pachinko machines, which looks absolutely ridiculous. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch the Jim Sterling show and you'll quickly learn how quickly pachinko can, how can I say, make something a negative thing. But okay, if you love pachinko, I have nothing wrong with that. If you're having fun with pachinko, I have nothing wrong with that. This article does, though. This article is very negative towards pachinko, and it's actually the people who are telling them that it sucks are the people who are hired to write for one of these hobby magazines for pachinko. So the guy they interview in this story, it was very interesting. He used to work at another magazine. I forget what his prior magazine job was, but it was something he really enjoyed. And for some reason, his company switched him over. Maybe something he had done. Maybe it was some kind of punishment, because sometimes this is what happens. They switch your job. They can't switch your pay, but they can switch your job, and sometimes it's to try and get you to quit. This is oftentimes called banishment rooms or banishment jobs, and maybe that's what happened to this guy. It doesn't say that, though, and maybe it's just because they don't want to get too personal. But he got switched from the magazine he really enjoyed doing to a magazine department that only covered pachinko, and as he got in there, he asked the other guys, he's like, are you guys like really into pachinko? That's why you're here? And they're like, no, we fucking hate pachinko. It sucks. As they state in here, they say it's recreation for retards. The reason being is because they constantly calculate the statistics for your winnings in pachinko, and according to them, from their own findings of their own calculations of winnings, you're wasting a ton more money than you're ever winning at any of these games. And that was the biggest problem that they saw with it. They said it's loud, it's full of lights, it's full of cigarette smoke. Personally, I myself do not like being in a pachinko parlor. I do not smoke. I do not enjoy how loud they are. I mean, they play music like so loud in them, and it's like the noisiest, loudest, most irritating J-pop you can imagine, that you cannot talk to someone sitting on a machine next to you playing pachinko. It's just literally like and then like in the meanwhile you've got like AKB blaring at like, you know, ear bleed levels. I mean, if that's your cup of tea, I am not saying I think it is recreation for retards. This magazine is. I personally feel like it's not something that is for me. I think this title of Recreation for Retards is a tad too harsh because at the end of the day, pachinko doesn't really hurt anyone. If you lose a lot of money on it, if you gamble away all your life savings, that's on you. Okay. Now, of course, there are people with gambling addictions who may argue otherwise. I don't have any kind of expertise, specialty, or knowledge of gambling addictions. That's for a separate conversation completely. So I'm not discounting that, but I'm just saying I don't have a lot of information on people with gambling addictions. That's my own personal take on pachinko. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, but it's not something I enjoy either. Would I give it as harsh of a title as Recreation for Retards? No, I think that's way too harsh. 47-year-old woman arrested over assisted suicide of parents. So in this article, apparently the woman had assisted her parents in committing suicide. I believe this one was via carbon monoxide poisoning, in which you buy a small indoor stove, you light it, and it fills the house with carbon smoke, which you eventually breathe in and die. Pretty painless way to die, listed in the Book of Suicide, the Suicide Manual as it's called, as one of the least painful ways to die, although that can be argued. Some say that the actual asphyxiation is painful. And this is happening more and more in Japan. I think one of the main reasons you're seeing this happen, and it could be argued that maybe this was actually murder. I think right now that's why she's arrested, is because they're wondering if she actually murdered them. You do realize, like, when people get up there in a higher age of dementia and stuff, they don't realize what's going on. If their daughter is malicious enough to light one of these little carbon stoves inside while her parents are like with Alzheimer's and dementia, they have no clue that they're being, you know, literally breathing in death. And this kind of stuff happens. You see a lot where it's like 57-year-old man kills 98-year-old mother after getting sick of taking care of her. It's a really, really sad situation. And it's half society's fault and it's half the government's fault, and it's neither one of them coming together on an agreement on how to take care of this giant, overwhelming population of aging and elderly people. And at the same time, not taking care of the fact that our population is dropping and the money coming in for these people to take care of them is dropping because there's not enough new young people to work the jobs that pay all the Social Security and pensions for these people. So, you know, it's constantly a back and forth between society and the government of Japan. Which side do I land on? I more so point the finger at Japan's government, where they seem to want to quickly do a lot of things for making here and now good for people, but don't take any kind of look into the future of how things are slowly degrading into kind of this like mass chaos of no one ever getting taken care of when they reach an elderly age, until they themselves get there, and then they aren't in government anymore and can't make any changes. Okay. Okay, there was one in my messages that was really interesting. And again, I want you to realize when people send me these articles, they are not agreeing with the articles. They are not saying they think this is true. They're merely bringing it to my attention. So please never attack the people who send me these. They aren't like, yeah, I totally believe pachinko is for retards. Like, he's just sending me the article. So please leave these poor people alone. Especially with this next one. This one is, I mean, this blew me out of the water when the guy sent me this one. I'm currently asking him to send me the link in which he found this picture from. Right now it's just a picture. It's just like kind of one of these meme pictures. And I'm reading from this that he sent me. And let me start off by saying I'm pretty sure almost 100% of this is not true. Japan keeps Islam at bay by putting restrictions on Islam and all Muslims. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Japan is the only nation that does not give citizenship to Muslims. Nope, not true. If they want to take the citizenship test, they can, and they can become a Japanese citizen. Mind you, they've got to pass the Japanese test, the kanji test, the history test, just like any other gaijin would. Permanent residency is not given to Muslims. I don't know that for a fact. I've never heard that to be true. Why they wouldn't do that, I don't understand why. I've never heard. I would think there would be an outcry in the Muslim community if such a thing were true, and I have never heard a Muslim tell me such a thing. Propagation of Islam in Japan is banned. No, there is no ban on any religion in Japan. You can pretty much start any religion, practice any religion, and take care of any religion you want to here. Have a temple or whatever for... In the University of Japan, Arabic or Islamic language is not taught in the University of Japan. Do they mean all universities in Japan, or is there a specific one called University of Japan as in UJ? If there is, I do not know about UJ. I know about Tokyo University, one of the most popular universities in all of Japan. And as far as I know, there's no restriction on what languages any place would teach. So I question that as well. I don't know if that's true. Japan is the only country in the world with negligible number of embassies in Islamic countries. Now, there may be some truth to this. If there's any countries that are on a certain danger level or passport entrance level, as in the Japanese themselves can't get a passport to enter it, then they definitely either have a very low presence there, or they have a presence which is barely seen, or they don't have an embassy there at all. One cannot import a Quran published in the Arabic language. I don't think that's true at all. I seriously doubt that. I don't think there's any book you can't have brought into Japan in any language. There's no ban on any language in Japan. I've never heard of such a thing. If there is, someone please bring that to me and show me somewhere in the amendments of the Constitution of Japan where it says there's certain bans. I've never heard of such a thing. Muslim must follow Japanese law and language. Bullshit. Total. That's definitely 100% bullshit law. That would mean like everybody would have to do that. Everybody who came to Japan would have to follow it. They wouldn't just single out Muslims and say, you have to learn Japanese law and language. Everybody has to follow Japanese law. Everyone does not have to learn Japanese to live here. My Japanese still sucks after 10 years. I'm still living here. The Japanese government is of the opinion that Muslims are fundamentalists and unwilling to change their Muslim laws. That's a massive blanket statement to say over multiple parties of the government. Do they even understand how the government works here? The Diet is made up of so many parties, I probably couldn't count them on 2 hands alone. To say that every single one of those parties is in congruence with this statement is an utter blanket statement. That's almost like saying, okay, anybody who works for the government doesn't like Muslims. That's impossible to know. Did they literally go around? And where is the source for any of this stuff? Muslims cannot even rent a house in Japan. 100% false. There is nobody in Japan who is denied rental. Unless you have like some kind of criminal background, and that wouldn't have to do anything with race. That would just be criminal background. There is no Sharia law in Japan. I'm unfamiliar with Sharia law, so someone please let me know. But as far as I know, I don't think that's true either. I think if it's part of your religion or anything you want to practice, you want to bow to Mecca, you want to pray at a certain time of the day, nobody's going to stop you from doing that in Japan. I would think there's even jobs that you would work in Japan if you let them know, and because they know they're hiring a gaijin, that you have certain religious practices. There's even universities that have halal food. So I know they make a lot of exceptions for stuff. So I would say almost 100% of all the stuff listed here is false. That's just a little bit of information on some articles and memes people have sent me over the week. Thank you so much for sending me these. This is great because I can post them on Facebook. Everybody can see them. Everybody can go and check what the questions are or read the articles behind the questions, which gets them even more informed, keeps me informed, allows me to put a lot of opinion behind my conversation with you, the viewer. You guys, great questions. Keep them coming, and I will see you on the next JFAQ, Japan's Frequently Asked Questions. I am unrested with the questions you requested. Have a good one.